What is up, everybody? ROGig245 here. Sorry if my voice sounds a little wonky. But, my first video of the new year, so I'm going to do a lot of videos this year. Probably going to change my YouTube name in the very near future. Don't know to what yet, but I will be doing that. First video of the new year, talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame induction announcements that happened yesterday. Harold Baines and Lee Smith were announced to be inducted this summer in December at the Winter Meetings, which is a 4-day event where all the baseball teams gather, and sometimes there's trades or big free agent signings that happen. So that's the two that were announced in December. Two announced yesterday. There's 4 announced yesterday. Excuse me. And they were Edgar Martinez, Mike Mussina, Roy Halladay, and Mariano Rivera. I'll touch on Mariano Rivera first, though, even though I've mentioned him last. First ever player in the history of the Baseball Hall of Fame to be inducted unanimously, which is a huge accomplishment. You consider the amount of players who have been inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame. You got Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Lou Gehrig, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Johnny Bench, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Chipper Jones, Mike Piazza, Randy Johnson, Frank Thomas in more recent years. So for him to get 100%, I for sure thought somebody was going to leave him off the ballot, and then next year Derek Jeter was going to be the first to go in at 100% being voted on. So that's a heck of an accomplishment for Mariano Rivera. Probably the greatest closer in the history of baseball. Now, I don't know if Roy Halladay would have gotten in had his tragic passing not happened last year. Not saying he doesn't deserve to go in, because he for sure deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. Just don't know, would he have gone in this year or not. I don't know. I can't really speculate on that. A happy moment for his family to be able to get to experience something like this. He was a Hall of Fame player. Edgar Martinez, in my opinion, should have gone in 2 or 3 years ago, but just the way he played DH most of his career, so they kind of left him out then. But the Seattle Mariners are probably one of my other favorite teams growing up because of him and King Jr., Alex Rodriguez, Jay Buhner, and Randy Johnson. So to see 3 of those 5 get in the Hall of Fame, really cool. Mike Mussina deserves to be in, but with him getting inducted, it's time for Curt Schilling to get inducted. You know, Curt Schilling is a very controversial person, and he tweets a lot of dumb crap. But in my opinion, they should overlook that, because the Baseball Hall of Fame isn't about the Baseball Hall of Fame and somebody's political beliefs or opinions. There's a lot worse people in the Hall of Fame, Ty Cobb, for example. So Curt Schilling deserves to be in. One of the reasons the Diamondbacks won the World Series in 2001, helped get the Phillies the World Series in '93. So he, in my opinion, he did a lot in his career with the Red Sox in '04 and '07. You know, so that was a big deal. The Bloody Sock game in '04. So, you know, in my opinion, he deserves to be there. So, the meat and potatoes of this video that I've been doing a lot of research on is Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. And statistically, baseball is a game of statistics. Statistically, they both belong in the Hall of Fame. The fact that they're not in the Hall of Fame already is kind of ridiculous. To me, baseball did a piss poor job of policing themselves during the steroid era and getting steroids out of the game of baseball. So to me, the baseball writers trying to sweep that under the rug is really stupid. And you can't tell the story of the game of baseball without these players and without the steroid era, as it's called. You know, other sports have steroid issues. You know, football, regardless if they want to act like they don't, they do. So, you know, steroids were a part of baseball, but in my opinion, before either one of them touched steroids, they were Hall of Famers. Barry Bonds had won 5 MVP awards before he touched steroids in 1998, in the summer of 1998. 5 MVPs, most valuable player, which means you're the best player in either the National or American League. He won it 5 times already before ever touching a steroid. He won it two additional times, which is a total of 7. First player in the history of baseball to hit 500 home runs and steal 500 bases. You know how hard it is to steal bases? Hard. He had a lot of other statistical achievements that are hard to top. To me, all steroids did for Barry Bonds was allow him to play past the age he should have been playing at. Allowed him to heal from injuries faster. Barry Bonds, to me, with the statistics and everything else, should be in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens had already won the Cy Young Award 3 or 4 times by the time he had touched steroids when he got traded to when he signed with the Blue Jays. Already won, led the league in strikeouts several years, majority of the 1990s. So his statistics and what he did in the playoffs, he deserves to be there. A couple other players I'm going to touch on, being a Braves fan. Dale Murphy. To me, people want to make the argument for not inducting Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens because of their character. Well, the opposite for Dale Murphy. Dale Murphy played in the late 70s, all throughout the 80s, and into the early 90s. Nobody's ever said a bad word about him as a person, as a player. He won back-to-back MVPs, played on a lot of really bad Braves teams that were on TBS. He deserves to be there in the Hall of Fame. Just the fact that he's not is ridiculous. Him and Don Madden, they both deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and they're both not, which is ridiculous. Braves were on TBS back when during Dale Murphy's heyday. Not a lot of reasons to watch the Braves on TBS back in the mid-'80s. Braves were awful. They sucked. 1988, they lost 105 games or something. Only reason to watch them was Dale Murphy. And then they had some young players that eventually have made the Hall of Fame, and Tom Glavine and John Smoltz. Dale Murphy deserves to be there. He's got a foundation that teaches kids how to play baseball the right way and to live, the right way. Fred McGriff. The fact that Fred McGriff didn't get in this year is bull crap. Braves don't trade for Fred McGriff in 1993 in the middle of July before the All-Star break. We don't win the division probably. As the last year the Braves were in the NL West, the last great pennant race, because the wild card was instituted in 1995. Would have been 94, but the strike happened. What Fred McGriff did for the Braves, the years he played for the Braves, were remarkable, and he's the reason the Braves have a World Championship, and they won in 1995. He had a couple of home runs in the World Series that year. He's a really good player. But he didn't get in this year because the rules changed, and they shortened it down to 10 years when it was 15 years on the writer's ballot. That hurt him. To me, he should have been in, and the fact that he's not in is a joke. He finished with the same amount of home runs as Hall of Famer Lou Gehrig, who, even if you don't watch baseball, you know who Lou Gehrig is because of Lou Gehrig's disease. But both finished with 493 home runs in their career. Lou Gehrig's in the Hall of Fame. Fred McGriff's not. So I don't understand that. They both play first base. You got Andrew Jones, who received like 7% this year. I think he got a little bit over 5% last year. Andrew Jones, 10 straight Gold Glove awards, which the Gold Glove award is given to the best fielder at a certain position on the baseball field. 10 straight years. Should have been the MVP in 2005. Braves won in 2005 because of some talented rookies, but also a veteran in Andrew Jones who hit 51 home runs. So he should have been in because he deserves it. You can argue, well, his career peak wasn't long enough, which I can actually, respect that argument, and I kind of agree with that argument to a certain extent. After he signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers, after playing for the Braves for the first 12 years of his career, he really didn't do much then. He gained a lot of weight and got lazy and didn't perform like the Dodgers thought he would. And then he bounced around to the Texas Rangers and went to Japan and played in Japan for a year or two. And then he came back and played with the Yankees, which seeing him in the Yankees uniform was so bizarre. But I rooted for him everywhere he went. And, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But the argument, to me, about the steroid era goes away because I don't think any of the other players I've mentioned took steroids. For what it's worth, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens never got caught touching steroids. So, they probably did them, yeah, but were they ever popped on a drug test? No, they were not. They were Hall of Famers before touching steroids. Barry Bonds for sure was. 5-time MVP award, multiple-time All-Star. Things he did before touching steroids. No player has ever done since. So I will make that argument, and that's why I decided to make this video, because I'm like, you know what, they deserve to be in. So I'm signing off now. I will probably do another couple videos within this weekend, probably. Royal Rumble's coming up, so I'll probably talk about that. But y'all take care, have a good rest of your week. I'm out.